Immediate resignation to me would be you send out a notice for would you like to hear it?
Stand, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you coming tonight. We're going to start the meeting off with a special proclamation from Marcia Bucher. Is there anybody here from the family?
I'd like to.
Could you step forward? Anybody that wants to come forward, please come forward. Scott? Anyone else? Okay.
Sharon, you want me to take pictures so you can be there? Let's go.
This is a special proclamation from Marcia, a good friend of everybody here and pretty much everybody in Homer. So I'll start it off. Mayoral Proclamation, Marcia Bucher Appreciation Day. Whereas Herman is a city blessed with civic-minded citizens, and whereas Marcia Bucher loved the city of Herman with all her heart, and whereas Marcia loved people and spent her working career in the profession of human resources, and whereas she equally loved her faith and could be counted on to help in all church-related functions, and whereas over the years she became a fixture at the Church of the Risen Savior in Rhineland and St. Martin's in Starkenburg, and whereas Marcia's good works were so well known that she was appointed by the bishop as a human resource representative to a special task group of the Diocese of Jefferson City. And whereas Marcia's recent tenure as Human Resources and Planning and Zoning Director for the City of Herman raised the professionalism of both of those areas in our city government. Now therefore I, Dr. Robert C. Kerber, Mayor of Herman, Missouri, do hereby proclaim June 24th, 2019 as Marcia Bucher Appreciation Day throughout our city, and urge all citizens of Herman to reflect on her generous life and give our heartfelt appreciation for her tireless efforts on behalf of our community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of Herman, Missouri to be affixed this 24th day of June, 2019.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Would you like to say anything?
Sure, just real quick, just wanted very humbled and very appreciative of this. Kind of the way work's done that's down in St. Louis a lot, but I'm just kind of floored and amazed with how much support everyone has given my family over the past few weeks, and obviously very proud of my mother because of everything that she's done. And like I said, I humbly accept this award, and I do thank you for allowing me to accept it on my mom's behalf.
Well, thank you very much. Again, thank you. Thank you. The next item of business is my report. I have a few items to talk about, so...
Chuck, did you have something you wanted
Oh,
to say?
Chuck.
Yes, may I?
Chuck, please come forward. I'm sorry, I didn't have it on my agenda.
That's okay, that's fine.
Because I think it relates to Michelle.
Thank you. Trish, I notified you and you set me up, but Mayor, Board of Aldermen, Mark, Dave, Trish, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come before tonight to honor Marcia and my deepest sympathies to the family for a great loss. I'm going to sort of shoot from the cuff here if I may, because I know we got a busy night, but Marcia taught me a lot. I chair our Landmark Commission, and I wish now that I would have picked her brain more than what I did. She was a person who loved Herman. She loved the historic district. She was a front runner in saving our district and making it what it was today, so I commend her for that. I worked with her for a good number of years on the Landmark Commission, and a lot of times we went to Jeff City to conferences where they'd be 1 day or 2 day, We talked about a lot of things going up there. A lot about Herman, how it meant so much to her to preserve the buildings and our culture and our history and keep that out in front of us, and she put the pressure on the landmark to try to do that. But in these travels back and forth to Jeff City, we did talk about the family, how much she loved her family. She was a fighter, and I can't say enough about her and how much I really appreciated what she had done for the city. But in all the years that we had gone up there, we would sit there at the end of the meeting, where there'd be a 1-day or 2-day conference, and they would give out certificates for different things to different cities, and they meant a lot to her. So we'd sit there and we'd look at each other and we'd just say, you know, we got to be coming up sometime. It's got to happen. Well, this year it happened. Unfortunately, she was not able to make it because of health reasons, but Dave and I both went up there. And I'm happy to present to the City of Herman the 15th anniversary certificate for the City of Herman for 15 years of successful participation in the Missouri Certificate Local Government Program. And this really meant a lot to her. And without the CLG fundings and things that they can do for our community, we wouldn't have what's available today. And there's a lot of things that we can do with that, with a little research, and I'm happy to present this to the City Council. I hope that it goes on display someplace,
Absolutely.
but there you are. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Well,
Sorry, this place is designed real well for this. Thank you.
okay, thank you. I actually did know Chuck was going to be here. What I meant was I didn't write it down, and if I don't write it down, sometimes it doesn't exist. Thank you very much. It was very nice. A little story. When I first came to Herman the first time, I was an auditor for Kip Bond. And he's sitting here. He called me to his office the morning I was supposed to come and start the audit, state audit for Gasconade County. He sent me here. And I thought I was in trouble because I never even went up to his office ever before. So when I went in there, what he told me was, he said, don't sit down, don't do anything until you find Harry Haverly. He said, you find Harry Haverly first before you do anything, and tell him, you know, who you are, show him your credentials, and ask him to give me a call, because I think a lot of the man, and I think a lot of Marcia, and worked with her very closely as everybody else here did. And I miss her already, so I'm sorry. And we'll make sure this gets a very prominent place in City Hall. Thank you. Okay, now we can start on the written matters, where I think I'll cut a little out. Focused on...
Thank you all.
All right, thank you. Focused on the August 6th ballot initiative, the 7/8 cent sales tax for Herman Street rebuilding. There are several people and groups in Herman that want to give advice on how to run the city, including fixing our streets. Most of the time they're critical but don't offer any solid alternative solutions to the problems. The mayor and board of aldermen have the job of listening to everyone and then making a decision. A city should be focused on doing what it is in the best interest of its citizens, taxpayers, and voters, and that's what we do. Our job is to look at the long-range solution and try to identify any unintended consequences and avoid them before we decide. It's very difficult. It's not possible to have everybody happy about everything we do. Rarely is there a problem and solution that is as clearly defined and as tremendously important to our city as our terrible streets and our inability to fix them from existing operating budget funds. A simple solution is Proposition New Streets, a 7/8 cent sales tax to be used exclusively for repaving our streets and construction of curb and gutter, only if necessary, to lengthen the useful life of the streets. There it is, the problem, and a well thought out solution. It's simple enough and vastly important enough that everyone can understand it and support it if they want to. I hope that there are no splinter groups this time and that the entire community can decide, yes or no, on this single issue of whether or not to fix our streets or to leave them in the condition they're in. This decision should be made on the merits of the choices, not on other outside confusing commentary. The decision is up to the voters on August 6th. The last time the election was decided by 24 votes. Please get out and vote. Don't stay home and regret letting someone else decide your future for you. Having said all this, it should be realized that the mayor and aldermen must always be out among citizenry, listening to what they have to say and what their opinions are on various subjects. I was criticized at the last meeting for doing that very thing. Keeping in touch with the citizens of Herman is one of the mayor's primary duties. That is why I have the mayor's action line, why I walk every Friday, why I knocked on every door during my 2 election campaigns, and why I contacted citizens during the first Proposition Streets. Then as soon as we lost by 24 votes, I started again to see if the almost 54% of the voters that voted for the street bond issue wanted us to try again in August. I reported back to the Board of Aldermen that the majority I talked to wanted another chance to vote on repaving their streets. Since then, I have continued visiting people and businesses and asking about their opinions, and I will continue to do this until the August 6th election and even after that. This is the right way to work for the citizens and the right thing to do. Also, to clear the record, the electric utility rate reduction was not my idea at all. It was Alderman Fairbur's idea. He took credit for it as he should have, and we discussed it before this board several times. Interestingly enough, Kevin Sanderlin and his brother John communicated a very similar plan. I did not and do not blame the alderman for the non-passage of the rate reduction ordinance. I simply wish we had discussed it at some point, but maybe we still will. We must put all of this aside and focus our attention on the upcoming vote on August 6th. That is far more important right now than any of this. There is only one issue to decide now, and that is making sure everyone makes their decision and goes to the polls and votes on August 6th. A couple of other things. Calabite technology progress. Calabite has started installing the backbone of their network. You can see their trucks, says Sellenrick on it, all around town. They work fast. I tried to catch up to them going up this hill and couldn't. Anyway, I will try to get a progress report as soon as I can. AT&T cell tower progress. AT&T is conducting some final site testing for the Federal Communications Commission. This is a part of their normal procedure, and we hope it is completed soon, and they can start on the final phases of construction. Emergency truck reroute. During the high water, the flood, the emergency truck route was initiated through Herman, initiated by the closure of the Highway 19 Friend Creek Bridge. It went very well, and I reported it to MoDOT and MRPC at the TAC committee meeting 2 weeks ago in St. James. We'll use it again. It was very good. Emergency Route Enhancement Grant. As reported last year, we hoped that the establishment of an emergency truck route could lead to a grant to help turn our inadequate streets we used in the truck reroute into a truck-ready surface that can withstand the extra stress and weight of modern 18-wheelers. This is a vast difference from what we will do on most of the streets. This is an 18-inch to 24-inch complete resurfacing of the streets to bury this weight. Anyway, it seems that this grant will be a reality and will be offered for that purpose, and Herman will be one of the first to have a chance at the money. This will take a while. It's not a short-term offer. The sidewalk grant. Another sidewalk grant, like we were awarded in 2018, will be offered next year in 2020, and we are planning to submit an application again. We would like to connect the end of the current sidewalk by the VFW to the new library site and run it along the east side of Highway 19 south, back towards town to the end of the present sidewalk at Herman Lumber. And also some intermittent rebuilding on 2nd Street by the Deutsheim to protect their properties and other places where we have dangerous sidewalks. The CDBG Downtown Development Grant. The CDBG grant has not been active for years, but it has been reactivated, and we are planning on applying for it when it opens next year. The purpose of this grant is to provide additional funding for the redevelopment of our downtown business area. In its simplest form, we will be given funds equal to the total investment that our downtown businesses make in their own business properties. If they make an investment, for instance, of $250,000, and that's all of them added together, the grant will provide us with $250,000 to invest in downtown infrastructure. We could use this to bury power lines and fiber optic cables or anything else that we see fit as appropriate use. Now that's very simple, but that's in a nutshell what it is. All these grants are long range, none of them are immediate. And lastly, I will be covering the subject of industry in Herman for the next HAC Mayor's Report. And did you know that we have 4 organizations in Herman that together employ over 500 employees with starting salaries of over $13 and several are much higher. At least one has a signing bonus and profit sharing plan. Imagine what the economic impact to our city would be if all these employees lived in Herman. That's my report for tonight, Bob.
Okay. Just a few things. One, the Public Works had been working on the flood cleanup, but it looks like they'll be working on it again as the river's coming back up, expected to crest on Thursday, I believe. On that same topic, the pump was put in at the pool, and in the pit at the pool now it's been removed again as the water creeps up in the park again. So as soon as it's down, we'll start the process over and we'll get the pool open as soon as possible. And last Thursday in the early morning hours, a 10-inch water main in the industrial park broke and split approximately 15 feet. The leak was severe and nearly emptied the city storage tank before it was completely shut down. The city's water crew, with the help from the street park department, replaced the broken pipe and had the water back on by 1 o'clock. And I want to thank them all for that job. That wasn't easy. And that's my report.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, let's move into the ordinances of Dave.
All right, the first bill on for second reading is Bill number 2019-23, which would be an ordinance to revise Herman Municipal Code Section 710.020 sewer service rates.
Any discussion?
Is everybody good now on what we're going to do?
I think as far as that goes, I think Jim and I looked it over, satisfied
I
ourselves.
move bill number 2019-23, second read.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Carried.
Next is Bill number 2019-24 on for second reading. An ordinance providing for the budget for the city of Herman, Missouri for fiscal year 2019-2020 and establishing a salary schedule for officers and employees of the city of Herman, Missouri for fiscal year 2019-2020.
This is our budget. Please, any discussion? I would say that we've had workshops and this has been discussed thoroughly, so we're probably ready. Do I have a motion to accept this?
Make a motion.
Do we have a second?
1924.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Any opposed? That motion's carried.
Next, on for second reading is Bill number 2019-25, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement for services between the city of Herman, Missouri and the Herman Area Hospital District and Oates Incorporated.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve bill number 2019-25.
Second.
A motion is duly made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Next, on for second reading is bill number 2019-26, an ordinance to revise Schedule 8 of Title 3 Traffic Code, handicapped parking, to add a new handicapped parking spot on 4th Street.
Make a motion. Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
Next, on for second reading, bill number 2019-27, an ordinance to approve the execution of a contract renewal agreement with Tri-County Trucking and Excavating, Inc. for solid waste collection and disposal.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve number bill 2019-27.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Next, on for second reading, bill number 2019-28, an ordinance to amend sections 220-190, 220-200, 220-210, and 220-220 of the municipal code and prescribing a schedule of rates for refuse container leases for garbage and refuse collection, for billing and collection services by the city, for recycling charges, and for closure expenses related to the city sanitary landfill.
Any discussion?
I move Bill 2019-28, second reading.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
Next on for first reading is bill number 2019-29, an ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a municipal services contract between the city of Herman, Missouri and Lee Regal. The draft of the contract attached, and it's essentially the same as last year in terms of payment.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve bill number 2019-29.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Trish, we don't need this to do that second. Sorry.
That's right. Next, on for first reading, bill number 2019-30, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2104 regarding the budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 with Exhibit A, including all of the different accounts and the amendments to those accounts.
And that
Okay.
one we will need second read. I had to wait this long in the month to get the, so I
Sure.
can determine the amendments that we
So we'll need
needed.
this one read to us.
And then it'll have a corresponding resolution too.
And basically, I think you might want to explain it. This is not for the budget we just approved. This is for last year's budget, making adjustments and changes. Correct?
Yes, that's
Okay, because people will say, well, why are you changing it? You just approved it. Okay. Any further discussion of that? Do I have a motion?
I move Bill 2019-30, first reading.
Second. I'll second.
I got Alderman Cox on the second. We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's, we need a second reading on that.
All right. Bill number 2019-30 for second reading, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2104 regarding the budget for fiscal year 2018-2019.
Okay, second reading. Do I have a motion?
This is the second. I move that bill number 2019-31 be declared first read.
30.
Second. 30.
And it is second reading, is it not?
Second. Yeah.
Second reading.
I'll flip the page. 30. 2019-30 be declared second read.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
Next, for first reading, is bill number 2019-31, an ordinance to approve and to authorize the execution of a service agreement by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Motorola Solutions.
Mark, who's Motorola Solutions?
This is the police department's radios. They had just been upgraded, and this is a maintenance agreement to make sure those radios are in good shape and working for our police department.
It's an annual agreement, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Any further discussion on this? Marlon, do you have anything to add to it?
No, it's just an agreement for, like I said, the upkeep of the radios with dispatch, so the valley, if something happens with the radios, it costs the city a great deal of money, so we can earn it.
Good, thank you. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion 2019-31 be approved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Is there a reason to get that in this budget? Do we need a second read that one?
Yeah, you can. That's fine.
Please, let's second read it.
All right. Bill number 2019-31 for second reading, an ordinance to approve and to authorize the execution of a service agreement by and between the City of Herman, Missouri and Motorola Solutions.
A motion, please?
I move Bill 2019-31, second read.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
On to resolutions.
Go ahead.
The resolution for you to consider this evening is resolution number 1267, a resolution to describe facts and reasons for a necessary amendment to the city's budget for fiscal year 2018-2019. The statute on budget amendments says that whenever you pass an ordinance to amend the budget, you should also pass a corresponding resolution to describe the facts and reasons for the necessary amendments. And those facts and reasons are just so that the city's budget is accurate in light of developments which have occurred and information received since the budget ordinance was passed.
Okay, any further discussion of that? Can I have a motion?
I move resolution number 1267 be approved.
A second, please.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution is passed. Old business, we have one item on the agenda that we kind of needs to be discussed, and that is, let's see if I believe it's our section 420-100D4, and it basically says that any guest house operating and with a necessary conditional use permit has to pay their lodging tax on time, or else we shall revoke their license. I don't know if we've ever done that. I don't know if everybody really understood it, but I asked Dave to look at it, so what did you find out, Dave?
Well, you summarized it correctly. We passed this ordinance a few years ago, 2016, which made guest houses, bed and breakfast inns, vacation rentals, etc., a prohibited use in R1. But we carved out an exception and said that if you had a bed and breakfast inn or guest house authorized by a conditional use permit before June 27, 2016, then you could continue that use if following criteria were met. And there's 5 criteria here that had to be met. But then there's a number 6 that says if you fail to report any bed tax or sales tax on any guest rooms in a B&B inn or a guest house when they become due, this would result in the immediate revocation of a conditional use permit that was allowed to continue per this section.
And I think that we should remember that a conditional use permit allows someone to operate a business, for instance, in a zone where it's not an allowed use. So it's a privilege, and in order to keep them, in order to get this, they promise to do certain things, and one of them is pay their lodging tax on time. We have had at least one, and there may be other ones, I don't know, but we could probably, Carol can probably look, that have not done this. And I wanted to call it to the attention of the Board of Aldermen and give you something to think about. It's on the books, it's legally on the books, and it doesn't mean that, as Dave pointed out to me, that, technically in violation, they do get a due process. We would have to send them some kind of letter or something, of some sort that Dave would come up with, so that we can do this. But it's on the books. My mantra, I always say, is either follow the law or change the law. So, does anybody else have anything they want to say?
Dave, does it say can be revoked or shall be revoked?
Shall result in the immediate revocation of the conditional use permit.
And there
And
is
does that
one,
require action by us, or is it automatically revoked if they're behind?
My advice would be it would require action by us, being a notice to them that says, per our records, you have not paid your bed tax or sales tax, therefore we are revoking your license. If you believe that we are wrong or would like to have a hearing, then your hearing will be at the next Board of Alderman meeting on such and such date. And if they don't show up, then it's revoked. If they show up, maybe they'll show up and say, yeah, I sent a check into the city on December 28th and it was cashed on the 29th, there's a mistake. If we made an honest mistake, they'd have the opportunity to say that, but that's about it. If they can't prove that they paid it, it would be revoked at that time.
Well, I would hope everybody tonight that's listening to this heard what was just said. And I don't know how hard you want to clamp down or how soon, but I would think the first of the year that that be enforced from now on out. Because we're having problems with these things. I mean, big problems, because stuff like this was not enforced. I mean, there's no excuse for it.
is everyone paid up now?
As far as I know, they are.
Yes, as they come due, we make sure that their taxes are all.
We had one, though, that was several quarters behind. But it's paid now.
I mean, that tax
Okay.
money is used for our tourism department. That's their money. I mean, if we're talking about the tourism tax, are we?
Yes.
I mean, that's Tammy's budget. They're messing with her budget by not paying. And her job is to make sure that those rooms get filled,
And
get people in here.
I think the key, too, that's also important, is that this was granted to them to operate based on their promise to do these 5 or 6 things. And when they don't do them, then they're kind of, I don't understand why they would not.
They're not holding up their end of the
That's
agreement.
exactly right. So let's give this some thought. I'll keep it on the agenda next time we can talk about it some more. Maybe we can see if there's anybody else that's done this result. Okay, any new business?
I do. Dave, the web agreement that we sent to you, have you had time to do anything with that?
I haven't done anything with that.
Okay, I've got a tourism meeting tomorrow, and that's one of the things they're gonna ask me, so. I mean, that's an honest answer, I'd say, you haven't had time.
Well, I will say this, Dave, that I asked Dave to do the transportation ordinance, which he has finished, and look at the sign ordinance, which he's in the process of finishing. And then we have him looking at the guest house potential ordinance and the employment, or the ordinance officer, the enforcement officer. I think that if we need this, then maybe we should just carve out enough time in those things and have him look at this for maybe the next meeting and have a closed session.
Well, I mean, we give the man enough work, I mean, it's,
Well, he's got plenty of work.
he's gotta prioritize too, so.
When's the next tourism meeting?
Well, I mean, the website's running okay.
Yeah.
But this web agreement's been going on for a long time, we really are trying to get it
They're
done.
also
I don't
chang-
want to pull you away from something that might be more important.
Dave, they're also changing the website. They have a grant and it's being remodeled and so forth. So it might be a good idea just to see what comes of that, but it's
Okay,
up
well,
to
I'm
you.
just the liaison there, and when I get asked a question, I like to have an answer, and I've got one now,
Okay,
so.
we'll work on it though.
I did have a couple underneath old business.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One, bring up on the nuisances again, I know some letters have been sent out, but we're kind of at a stalemate yet because of health conditions of some of them, they couldn't get the area cleaned up. I'm just wondering where we're sitting on that, 'cause like I said last time, some of those were involved mobile homes have been sitting for over a year and a half now.
We have met with Bob Bull, and he has explained the situation to us, that he is trying to make arrangements for people to move to his other trailer park. Some of the trailers aren't in good enough shape to move. Some of the people he doesn't want to move in there, and so forth. And so he's going to give us a list of names which we want to keep very confidential, and what he intends to do. So that's one thing. Now, with regard to some of the other properties, Mark, we talked about it this morning. You talked to, you want to kind of fill us in on that?
I had a call from DNR on the Home Incorporated, not the Bevco building, but the Home Incorporated building. Evidently, there are some hazardous waste there that they're trying to get rid of, and they're having a hard time getting a hold of the owner. They thought we had, we're going to tear that building down. I told them no, we're working on the one next door. So that's a different item there. But they've all received letters. I believe they were sent certified to the 3 properties, waiting for them to respond.
Now that's 3 properties. I'm going to jump in here because Jim was just trying to say this. He had a list of other things. They didn't need to be torn down, but they were things that they had elephant high size grass or debris or junk or something else. And I know an obvious reason why you might not have gotten to it, but why don't you?
What do you got?
This one I reference, I know Chief
Sure.
talked to them.
Yeah, he's talked to them. They've been there. They're trying. I don't know. West 8th, any update on that one?
We still gonna try and get in touch with the health department about getting them help to clean that up. It's so many years of debris.
Okay.
That's gonna take place in 10 days to clean that up.
We haven't
Who's going to
contacted-
do the contact with the health department?
I can do that.
Okay.
Those, I think the mayor was going to talk to
Right.
those.
Becca Breedy,
And that's the one we sent the letter to. This was,
Right. I'm sorry.
That's Home Incorporated. This one's been cleaned up. And Trent Creek, I got to wait till the flood's
Yeah.
done.
yeah.
That's the monumental thing that I was kind of
So
referring
on
to.
8th Street, we're still kind of waiting
Yeah,
to see for
it's-
health reasons or?
You know, I don't know how you do that, but if they can't do it and we have to clean it up, then we get somebody in there to clean it up and put a lien against the property. But I don't know if that's something we can do with their personal property or not. I know we can do with grass and things like that, but this is their stuff,
Well,
so.
those a couple of houses down from that location on 8th, now they're storing extra lawn boards in their front yard. Yeah, they got them tarp, but it's starting to accumulate in another yard. But
Okay, well, Dave, it seems to me that a lawnmower collection is probably something that should be kept either inside or somewhere else, but not in the front yard, even under tarps. So, I know we can clean places up and put it on their tax bill. But what about, you said personal property? Is that only for real property? Or what about personal property?
No, we, the city, can take steps to abate anything that's a nuisance. And a nuisance can be weeds and debris, or it can be a collection of junk, by whose definition, right? A collection of junk or antiques that are accumulating in the front yard. The issue that the city has is, or an issue that the city has is you take this stuff and then what do you do with it? I think that that's something that would maybe necessitate some legal advice and have a conversation before we just go in and take it and pitch it.
Right.
The
Because
city
we
was
can't-
involved in a lawsuit a few years ago that it eventually won, but it was an expensive deal because what the city thought was junk, somebody else thought was very, very valuable timbers and things. But having said all that, I don't know what the people, what their attitude is, if they're agreeable and agreeable to the city entering onto their property and agreeable to the city taking stuff, well, it's a whole different story. It's just a matter of getting it done.
Okay.
We have a right to do that.
So can we, do two of us, I blurted out the guy's name, but we need to, I should know. But we need to make a phone call again. I've not done that. We can do that tomorrow.
No, he's talking about somebody else.
I know, we're talking about
okay.
this whole list.
Yeah, we can call him too. Yeah.
I'd like to see some activity on these things.
One question on this that didn't get answered with Bull's Trailer Court, you were talking about he's moving people out. What about the trailers that are already sitting there vacant? One burned up, at least one is marked uninhabitable.
See, it's gonna take us,
Five of them.
well, but you know him better than I do. And he has a way of taking them apart and using them for things, stuff. in his
Well, they're
farm.
still pretty, in one piece.
No,
to
he hasn't
me.
done it yet. He's got big plans. And the same thing with the concrete slabs. So I think that he was gonna give us a plan and a list of what he was gonna be able to do. And as soon as we get that, we can bring it here.
Okay.
And you can look at
He's
it.
pretty adamant about having everybody out there by November 1. So we'll see how it works out.
Well, good luck to him.
Yeah, us too.
Something else I was gonna touch base on is, I think last meeting we talked about on 10th Street where we had some commercial vehicles used for personal businesses that's parked on the street. It's been brought up by citizens to me that that's narrowing the street down. I think Dave was gonna look at ordinance 355, 130 about parking on the street.
Yeah, I didn't do that yet. Go on to the next item, I'll look at it right now.
I have a question too, and that is a car, you're allowed to have a car or truck or vehicle, I think, in your back lot, the back of your lot. But I don't know if it requires that you have a current license plate on it, or that you move it occasionally. I really don't know what that is, so.
There's two, one's like a flatbed truck and then another truck that's used as a utility that sits on the streets and they can sit there for months on end, then they'll use it for a job, then they park it back on the street again.
Okay.
So Dave's looking at that. One other thing I brought up before, and I was contacted by the citizen, and it actually falls into Ward 1, since they put in Mozart Street, changed it. Streets on West 2nd Street would be the first block up by the old firehouse. There's several along that street and 3rd Street where the roots of the tree has now crushed the curb and the guttering, and their sidewalk has just come out in pieces. And they can't put it back in because the roots are growing up there. And the person that lives there wants it cut down because of that, because he can't put the sidewalk down. And it's defacing city property by tearing up the...
Do you have addresses?
I do not.
If you get them, I know one of them, I think.
That's the one.
But, okay, are you talking about just one?
Well, one that's been talked to me by a citizen, but my personal, I just checked the rest of the streets there. There's going to be several, and
Oh,
if
let's
we're getting
look at
ready to repave the streets, if those roots are doing the curb and guttering now, we don't do anything, how's it going to affect
Yeah, I
the gas
think-
line, the water lines?
Well, you know, if we get a sidewalk grant, and we do want to put that on for a sidewalk grant, because that's where the Deutsche is, and the Straley House is part of the Deutsche. It's about a block down, and you can barely walk on some of those sidewalks without breaking your knee. So we ought to look at that. If we do the sidewalk grant, it'll require that that be taken out, like they did on the other end of town. And so anyway, Mark and I will look at that and see what we can have an answer for you for next
I'll
time.
get you some addresses.
Do you understand how crazy people get about trees, right?
Well, I wanted to say that that one tree is 170 years
Well,
old.
we had someone chain themselves to a tree here in town.
That was the same one across the street from this.
Oh, okay.
But it is hurting our city property, the curb and guttering, and potentially the infrastructure underneath.
As I recall, this particular one is gnarled up over the curb,
Mhm.
but hasn't broken the curb. Now, the other ones might have crushed the curb, but we'll go look. I might,
That's all I had, whole business.
Yeah, so on your parking And the truck issue 355-130 says, "No person shall park in any street or alley in an area zoned residential in the city of Herman. Any farm equipment, boat trailers, camping trailers, pickups with installed slide-in campers, trucks, recreational vehicles, utility trailers, and similar vehicles." And then the next section specifically says that pickup trucks and light panel trucks less than 25 feet long and less than 7.5 feet wide, excluding the mirrors, are exempt from this section. And then it goes on to say that the city administrator or their designee may issue a temporary permit for parking a prohibited vehicle in residential areas, subject to time limitations and other terms as provided in the permit. The fee required for the permit is $5, and that's it, so.
What about if somebody parks a truck or car in their backyard or, back part of their lot and never moves it? And maybe it runs, maybe it doesn't. Does it have to have, what can the city do about that? Does it have to have a current tag on it to exempt it, or what is that? What happens to that?
I believe it says in there someplace you're allowed to have what was that time, Laura? 1 or 2 vehicles to work on.
I don't know.
Because you and I had this discussion with one of your.
2 cars, 3 engine blocks,
Yeah.
parked in the front yard, nothing was done.
Yeah, you're allowed to work on them, but you can, I think it's only like 1 or 2 vehicles, but you have to have it back there to work on it. I don't think you're just allowed to dump them there.
There's some out there where the weeds have grown up
That's what I mean.
a foot to 2 foot high around the vehicle, so they're not working on it.
I think then it falls under the nuisance category.
Yes.
So then the SUV that's down on the south side of Ford that was sitting in a floodwater that's still down there, would that be considered?
That's not Ford's property.
No.
No. Yeah,
They
that's,
moved it.
Might actually be on city property.
I'm not sure who owns that.
It's down there.
That was
at the
FEMA,
substation.
that's FEMA buyout property back there. Who actually owns it? The city owns it or who?
So back to these commercial vehicles, I may use the terminology wrong, as a pickup, it's a 3/4 ton truck, it's a flatbed, and 3/4, I noticed the other day, Dave and I drove around, it's got car plates on it instead of truck plates. But
Well, that's not legally licensed. though.
it's a big vehicle, it's bigger than a pickup. It may fall underneath that 7 foot and
If
25.
it's more than 7.5 feet wide or more than 25 feet long, then it would be a prohibited vehicle.
Okay. Someone need to actually go measure them, or ask the guys just to park them elsewhere.
Do we have any other, any either old or new business?
I do.
Well,
Oh,
Electric.
So,
I'm sorry.
another thing that we could, Jim, and another, it says pickup trucks and light panel trucks that are less than 25 feet long or less than 7.5 feet wide are exempt. So if this is a 3/4 ton dually, I don't know if it is or not, but if it has a flatbed on it, or a commercial type usage or bed on it, I would say that that's not an exempt quote-unquote pickup truck or light panel truck. So
I like that definition.
My turn?
It's your turn.
Okay. I have 2 things that citizens brought to me. One is there was a business in my ward that received an oral and a written request to stop building on a deck that they're put on, and they've refused. Is there anything, I mean, what do we do now if they're refusing?
Who gave them the oral and written request?
Lee Regal,
Our building.
to stop. And they refused.
I would, it's a misdemeanor, and they could go to city court or the city can go to circuit court on the Hill and get a TRO or temporary restraining order. And this, I know you've had a deal with those that took a long time, but this is like a 1-day notice type thing. Like you go find a judge immediately and have them issue a restraining order to stop building.
So what do we do?
That's an all, you're asking the board.
Yeah, what do we do?
Oh, did they have a building permit?
Nope.
That's wrong. But who issues a ticket on that? Or city police or?
I wonder if the project is finished now, or if
I
it's still half.
haven't looked closely, but it's been going on for a week.
He's probably done by now.
It's also in the historic district.
And there's a dumpster there, and there's piles of junk there, and there's a car there, a truck there that's got junk on it, and it could be an abandoned vehicle too.
It wasn't brought up to the landmark commission either. It is an historic building.
So none of the proper procedures were followed here, is what you're saying?
Correct.
How's the citation issued on something like this?
Just like any other ordinance violation.
The city police?
Can there be repetitive citations? I guess, I don't know.
I don't think that it says that for each day it's a different violation like you see in some of the codes.
Okay.
Well, how do we proceed after the citation? If the work's already done, no permit was ever issued, you tell them to take it down? I mean, what do you do?
It's a judge, right?
Yeah. You can ask the judge to order them to take it down. So,
Could you give us your deliberation? If this is acceptable to the board?
Well, it seems like we got two problems here, one's zoning and one's building code.
One's leading to the other. We have a building going on without permission, which is affecting the zoning. Number one priority is you did not have a building code.
Yeah, and if you tear a building down, I mean, it needs to be looked at before you tear a building down, and then before you add something else somewhere else, that all needs to be looked at.
Do you happen to know what he tore down? Was that historic?
I don't
Something
know,
really
it was
old.
old.
The historic people are gonna
demolition
have
permit.
freak out about that.
And there's another permit for
That
that.
requires a
Demolition
demolition.
permit. We all just need to follow rules. I know rules aren't fun, I don't like the rules all the time, we have to follow them.
I think the first thing we need to address is the lack of building code to build it. We gotta start a foundation somewhere. Let's get
Or
that.
if they
and then
demolish something without getting.
If we can get that part done, then we can get it tore done, then we can come back with without the proper demolition.
Or can we do it all at once?
Well, we don't know if there was a second violation or not, because I don't know that anybody here knows whether there was an existing deck or
There
if
wasn't
it's
a
brand
deck.
new.
It was brand new from what I understand.
So there wasn't an existing deck.
I would get a written statement from Lee Regal and see what actually was said and what the response was, and base the tickets, summons, whatever, on that.
Get the documentation, what he saw upon the visit and what he told was done, get his words in black and white. Then let's move forward with the summons to cease and do away with and set a
Or
court
the
date.
summons, is that a cease and desist? Can the
Or is
summons
it a
be-
citation?
Or is it just a ticket, a citation?
it's just a ticket. But what intrigues me, I don't know if we can go to circuit court and ask judge to ask him to remove it, but that's an intriguing, let me look into that part of it.
In the meantime, we can get statements from Lee.
Right.
Okay, that's a good idea. And do this as fast as we can, because maybe it's not finished yet. Whatever it is. Anybody else?
I have one more thing,
Yeah,
sorry.
she has the floor.
I had another citizen ask me that lives on Market Street if there is any way they're coming off of the visitor center at 2nd Street there. You know how some intersections have a mirror so you can see what's coming? You can't see what's coming.
We had actually talked about that at one time some years ago. They're not expensive.
I
mean,
think that would be a good place for a mirror. And then also down here at 18th, when you're trying to pull out onto the highway and people are coming, that's bad there
Oh,
too.
that's terrible.
If we could have a mirror there
And
too.
the other place too, and this is maybe what Susan's talking about, when you're by the firehouse, the Chamber of Commerce, and you're trying to pull out and go southbound.
Yeah, that's where she's
That's
talking
it,
about.
yeah.
With the door open, you can't have to get almost out, you're in the intersection before you can see. So that,
But
okay.
both those, I don't know.
And we had looked at the mirror.
We talked about it, I'm not sure where to get those, we'll investigate it and we can.
Maybe
I
both
think
those
I'll put up a
places?
pole right there.
And it's our property, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everywhere I've seen them, they seem to work pretty
You
well.
need to check with MoDOT, they may not let you.
Yeah,
hang on
MoDOT's
the right of way.
got their own rules about that.
They don't own any right of way.
No, I mean, you're not allowed to put signs and so forth along through there supposedly, so they may have a.
Okay, I'll check, I think I'll check with
May have
Preston
a
on
problem with that also, is all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm
Susan.
done.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay.
Does anybody here know what rolling coal refers to?
What?
Rolling coal?
Rolling coal.
You take a diesel pickup from the factory and you put a new computer chip or you modify the computer so you can sit at a stop sign or wherever and floor it and blow a big cloud of black smoke
It's a
over whoever's
silver-
next to you,
It's a
people in the
silver Ford.
crosswalk, tourists, locals, dogs, some poor bastard that's driving by you the other way and has the window down and they almost choke to death. This isn't a widespread problem, but it happens quite too frequently here in town. There's not a lot of people, but it's not something, it can't happen out on the highway. And I don't believe it can happen accidentally. The vehicles have to be modified in order to do it. And like I said, especially there at 4th and Market, several times I've seen people coming in that crosswalk. And I don't know how they're not black when they come out the other side. I guess that smoke isn't sticky, but it cannot be good for your health. And I've had a few complaints about it, and I was approached by a law enforcement officer from another agency about it, if there was anything we could do to that. I'm not sitting here saying we need to pass an ordinance about it, but I'm bringing it to your all's attention that maybe it's something worth consideration. I mean, it's not an accident. When this happens, it's done intentionally.
We have an ordinance that covers noxious odors and smoke, I think. And whether it's a nuisance ordinance, which I would think would apply, then I saw that, exactly what you're talking about, was a silver Ford or Dodge pickup, and he floored it at the corner of Schiller and First Street, going eastbound on First, and went about a half a block, you couldn't see anything.
Well, it blocks visibility from other traffic. You know, it could cause an accident.
Does it increase the engine noise?
I'm not really sure if it increases
It's
it.
kind of loud, yeah.
There's so darn much smoke coming out, it probably muffled the noise.
The ordinance there for loud and excessive noise filling mufflers to reduce engine noise.
Might be
May
in
fall
there,
into
too.
that.
Marlon, we ought to be talking to you about this. What do you know about this rolling coal?
I've never heard of it, so there's no ordinances that we can enforce about it. I've never heard of rolling coal or nothing like that.
I mean, it might be so few times that it's not worth us messing with, but I'm sure the people who end up in one of those black cows don't think that way.
Huh.
And when it's happening to our tourists,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I did experience what you're talking about. I know it's,
it's just something for you all to consider. I'll bring it up again in a couple meetings, see if you've all thought about it, if you want to do anything about it or not. So,
okay, anything else? Any other old or new business? Okay. We have citizens' comments. We have two. The first is Nancy Kirchhofer. Nancy, would you come up to the podium and we can hear you? And everybody else can too.
Thank you for, I think this is minor to what you have to deal with. But speaking to whatever this smoke thing you were talking about, in the last week I saw two of them. One on First Street and then when they started to cross the bridge. It's very loud and everything just gets black.
thank you.
Yeah, but I didn't know that it was purposely done.
Yes, it's intentional.
All right, so real quick, my concern is the alley behind St. Paul Church. It has been repaired a couple of times on the flat part, or, some asphalt put in the potholes. But when you go down the hill and approach Market Street from the alley, it is rutted badly. And the ruts are probably, some are 6 to 8 inches deep. And when they get repaired, it's been several months or a year since it was repaired, but whatever is put in to repair it just gets washed out the next rain, and it's at the end of the alley. It's down on Market Street. So it would really be nice to have that fixed. It's, our parking lot behind the church, and I'm not speaking for the church, I'm speaking for myself because I live next door. And when I go out, I go down the alley and I have to go that way because I have somebody parked behind me in the alley who shouldn't be there. But what do? They move for a while and then they just go back. And,
Are they blocking the alley then?
well, they're in the alley a little bit when we come out of our driveway. It's much easier I have to jockey around to get by him if I go to the right and go toward Mozart. Okay? So, all right. So then, can I say two more things
Sure.
at a time? All right. So the next thing, I have a suggestion. I would like for you to consider pet waste eliminator stations. We've noticed that we have a dog, we take him for a walk, we always take a plastic bag and we get rid of the mess if he happens to do it on the walk. But some people have not been doing that. And a lot more people have dogs, a lot of people travel with their dogs now. It seems that there are more pets, animals, and maybe if there were a few throughout town. And I looked it up. They're $129. Of course, you'd have to put it on something. It would cost to put it up and put it on a pole. And they will hold 600 bags. And so I would think it wouldn't take a lot of attention, just maybe emptied once a week, because there's a receptacle that you can put the bag in. Okay. And then the other thing is on Mozart Street, we face the river and you come up the hill on First Street and then you go around the church and down, and that is a one-way street all the way down. When you get at the foot of Mozart and 2nd Street, there is a sign that says, I don't know what it says, to tell you the truth. It's white. It's all faded out. I took a picture of it, but it's all faded. And I don't know if maybe one of those signs that's real red and then the X through it means, don't proceed. I think it said one way. The sign said one way, but it's completely white now. And there are probably a good dozen, with all the tourists that we have, cars that go the wrong way. They go up, they go down. There isn't a stop sign at the foot of First Street and the bridge because it's a one-way. They shouldn't be going that way. So there isn't a stop sign for those people that are going the wrong way. I don't know how you take care of it, but I would think it's a little dangerous.
I think we can get another sign there.
Yeah. Something that can be seen.
We have,
Maybe
I've
a
got
couple of signs.
3 things here. We know about the alley. I haven't seen it lately. I'm sure it's washed out again and rutted, and we need to fix it better. Mark knows, he was just telling me about it. The pet waste eliminator. I don't know exactly what that is, but maybe you could.
Well, because you see them around in some cities. It's on a post, so there's a box, and it has a little plastic bag in it. Okay, you put your waste in there, but then it has another little box where you pull a little baggie out, put the poop in, and then you carry it with you. Just put it in your pocket. Most people who walk around, if there's one there, they'll take it, and then if they get to the next street and they've had to use it, they'll dump it in the receptacle.
Sure.
But if you had one, say at Riverfront Park, you had one on First Street, one
One at
on
the bridge.
Schiller, at the bridge.
And even by the trash can. It could be by the trash can.
Yeah, and
You
you're
could walk
right,
on the
yeah.
bridge, use the bag, and then throw it in the trash can, and you come back across.
But if you if you have those receptacles near where the when the trash is picked up, and, you know, and the big cans,
There used
all
to
of
be
that
some in
would
the
be
park.
together. You have a receptacle
They're
to
still
put it
there.
in.
Yeah.
We have them in the park, or we had one in the park. It may be in New Orleans
I
right
think it's a
now.
good
but we
idea.
have-
Yeah,
It's a
oh,
good
okay,
idea.
I just thought I'd bring it
And I'll
up.
look and see what that looks like. Maybe I can find one.
Oh, the name of, what I found, the company was Pet Waste Eliminator Station. And that was the company. that
So how
I-
many offhand do you think we would look into needing?
I would say a dozen, or half a dozen, but then if you put them at the park, maybe a couple at the park. I don't know, we don't spend a lot of time at the park anymore, so, but it would be, you know, where you have the campers. That would be,
A lot of puppy dogs out there.
yeah, there are.
And Riverfront Park would be good, and by the bridge would be really good.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's no big
Okay.
deal, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments.
I know you were.
We'll do something on that. Lori, Sutton, can you come up and,
I'll be short and sweet, I don't have that much complaining. On the 1 cent sales tax that you're proposing, is there inside that ordinance that it guarantees that the money will be segregated and can't be
Absolutely.
used for anything else except for the streets?
Absolutely, we wouldn't do it any other way.
And, because that needs to be done. And I don't know if August is such a good idea, and I'm not against the 1 cent sales tax, I don't want you to think that I am. But it might not be enough time. It's always a very low voter turnout time. Sometimes that can be favorable for cities if they want taxes passed when they choose that. But I have not read a lot about it in the newspaper, which is generally, or Facebook is generally how most people in Irving get their newspaper, or, you know, so that might be something to think about. And then I have a comment too. I've heard something about hiring a person to go around to see if bed and breakfasts are complying.
Enforcement officer, compliance officer.
To me, it seems like a solution in search of a problem. If you hire someone to do this, of course you're going to have bad feelings, but the person who has that job is going to have to find people doing something wrong, otherwise why would they have that job? I don't really know if it's such a big issue. I know there are bed and breakfasts that do things that are wrong, but generally speaking, most of them are pretty good corporate citizens. And if it gets to it leads to feelings of them against us. And it can make very ill feelings among business owners towards the city. And you might be opening up a can of worms you're not really aware of how people feel. And it can become a source of harassment if the wrong person is in that job. That's all I'm saying.
Lori, one thing, actually two things. One, not only will the money be guaranteed in the 7/8 sales tax go to streets, but any money currently appropriated for streets will not change. You don't get all of it,
Okay.
every last penny. And two, with the enforcement officer, the lodging people approached us with this.
Did they?
Yes.
Okay.
And they thought, rather than, we had talked about possibly putting a moratorium on any more guest houses, and they didn't like that. They thought enforcement of our current laws and stuff was the way to go about it. That's how we came up with the
Okay,
idea.
okay.
And it's for safety, it's for the tourist safety and it's for the owner's safeties, for fire, any kind of accidents.
Carbon monoxide egrets for handicapped and just making sure those are all there. I would like to see a self-policing happening, meaning if they're in business, they should have everything up to standard.
Okay.
We would expect that.
And it's not somebody going out and looking for problems.
I don't think it's just for logic either. We have sign ordinances coming on board and some other things that are also look like they'd be a good fit for this person. And so it's not just logic, it's other things too. And I'd also like to tell you that the 7/8 cent sales tax is on the ballot.
I know it is.
Okay, good. And so it is on the ballot. And
Well, then I think for the next 6 weeks, there needs to be kind of a media blitz, or because really, most people don't know that much about it.
Well,
And,
we had an ad in the paper last
it's,
week.
it's sometimes best to get closer to the election to
yeah.
really put the push on, because if you do it too early, people tend to overthink things and start tearing it apart. We want to get it in their face the last month before the election, make sure they get the proper information without any deviations. And just like the question you just asked about them, well, are you sure the money's all going to go for that? That's going to be hammered home very big. It'll be by the way it's written, it'll be by law. You won't be able to use it for anything else.
okay, that's good, because, good, we need it for
And
the streets.
I mean, unfortunately, we've learned from our state and federal governments that how they do things. Oh, yeah, we're going to put this money here, but since you're getting that, you don't need this anymore.
Well, I was
We're not
born in
gonna work that
Chicago,
way.
and it's a way of life
Yes,
there.
it is.
And so,
we're not
you
going
know,
to do that.
Okay, because I mean, it's important we get the streets fixed, you know, and that the
No,
money
that's
is used for the streets.
That's a
'cause
question,
they're
an
in
answer
terrible
we need
shape.
to hammer home repeatedly,
Okay.
that all of this money is going for exactly what we say it's going for, and the money that they're currently getting will stay there.
Okay, now I have one more quick question and I'll go away. On the sewer, you're talking about raising the rates. How much are you talking about raising the rates, and what is it going to cost citizens?
The sewer, I believe it's going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, $2 on the base rate and .0039 per gallon on the usage rate. And that's not a tax increase as much as it is our required, we're required by bond and rules, when the citizens pass this, we're required to keep certain balances towards interest and principal payments. And in order to make sure we're within the requirements of the bond issue itself, it has to be, that's the minimum, it has to be increased.
Nobody here wanted to do that. We're required by law to do that. The bond
Okay,
issue controls that.
All right, now I have one more quick thing, just a comment.
Lori, I'm sorry, we need to clarify something. It's not actually being raised by .0039. It was .0036, and it's going to .0039.
Right, okay, I'm sorry.
Correct that.
Yeah, it's just a very, very tiny, thank you. So it's going from .0036 to .0039,
Okay.
okay?
And then one quick thing, I've been here a few times and you were just talking about the cars and the things and the streets. I really think that Herman should put something in their, whatever you call ordinances, about people parking their cars in the front yard. I've been to the city twice about it. I have one neighbor, thank God he broke his sewer line, so he realized that maybe he shouldn't park a ton truck in his front yard. But I have neighbors up the street that park in their front yard. It's actually a pretty common problem in Herman, and it really makes it look trashy. I mean, they're like Arkansas yard ordinance. But when you have your money, I mean, there's nothing you can do about cars in the back of your house. I mean, I've often thought about putting up a 12-foot fence just so I didn't have to look at the cars and the engines on blocks. There's nothing you can do about it. Dave's been to my house and seen it. But I do think you could do something, and it would help not just me. You should not be allowed to park your car in the grass in the front of your house. I've lived at my house since 1978. I have never had the urge to park my car in my front yard, and I have no reason to. And there's also people on our block, they've taken their whole backyard and turned it into parking lots. They should, I mean, I just think this is something, because it winds up looking like Bull's Trailer Court. And that's exactly what your neighborhood looks like when people do that.
And if you wanted to look like that, you'd live in a
I mean,
trailer.
we go out, we cut our grass, my husband's too old to cut the grass, so we pay somebody now. But we still try to keep our yard looking nice, and I think probably 95% of their neighbors. And the thing is, when you call the city, there's nothing that can be done, because there really is not an ordinance that prohibits people from parking in their front yard. So I think it's something you need to look into, and I'll shut up and go home.
No, I appreciate that, and you can see we spent a lot of time tonight trying to fix things like that. So we're gonna check into it again. I mean, we have let things slide.
Well, we have a pretty town. It's really a beautiful town. And I spent my career driving around and seeing all kinds of towns in central Missouri.
Right.
And Herman is really a beautiful town, but cars parked in the front yard don't really make it attractive.
Thank you.
Lori, this gentleman sitting next to me over here, from the day he decided, came to me and told me he wanted to run for alderman, all he's talked about is beautifying Herman. So if you ever get a chance, sit down with him and talk about it, because we talked about it an awful lot, but any ideas that you could give forward on this, we're more than welcome to consider, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much. The next item, I believe, unless I skipped one, is the motions. Do we have a motion to accept or to change our, the minutes?
Move to approve.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are accepted. Invoices for payment.
Make a motion to pay the bill.
I'll second.
Motion's made down here and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Approve the utility easement deed for Calibyte Technology LLC. Tell us what that is.
They've got a portion of city property by the coop. It's on city property, it would be just west of where the sidewalk would go if it was ever extended. And it is for some sort of a junction box for the Calibyte cable system. They were looking for a place close to the center of town that the city owned, and we found that would be a good spot, and that's where they put it, or want to put it.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion's made down here and seconded down here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Approve addendum to the November 9, 1992 agreement with the Missouri Department of Conservation regarding the Riverfront Park.
Yeah, I got a call from Missouri Department of Conservation. Evidently, the bathroom that we have at our Riverfront Park, the agreement from '92 was that the department would take care of it. But our bathroom was built to different standards and specs than they have. It's a much better bathroom than they would have, and they asked to be relieved of their duties of upkeep of that bathroom.
Did they ever upkeep?
They never have.
Yeah, I don't remember them ever doing anything on it. They wanted basically a nice outhouse. We put an actual.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah.
That's just something in the agreement they want to change.
So moved.
We have a motion made, do we have a second? We have a second down here from Alderman Cox. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oops, that's passed. We have a liquor license renewals. I think Trish, we do these as a group.
We do them twice a year. Some people like this July due date, the rest of them are in December. The ones that are on your list have all been paid.
Okay, they've all been paid.
So we're doing them all as collectively
Yes,
at
please.
one time? So moved.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Notice that on Calvin's distributing a half a year for $250, but then.
Different type of license. Different type of license.
Oh, okay, because I seen
It's
Deerberg had a 1 year was
That
$250.
goes by distributors, by the drink.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion, did we not?
Yes.
I don't know.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. We have a picnic liquor license, St. George Parish fundraiser, 128 West 4th Street, August 24, 2019.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. We have a special event application, Midwest Cyclo-Touring LLC, indoor-outdoor camping, Upper City Park, Rotunda and J.C. Pavilion, June 4 and 5, 2019.
Bruce, was this what they were talking about the other
Yes.
night? Did they do anything with that?
They approved it.
They did approve it.
They approved it at the park board, and then the garden club, these people are gonna be out by 9 AM, and the garden club is going to have it from 9 AM.
So they got their end all straightened out?
Well, apparently they haven't submitted theirs yet, because it's not on here
They're-
yet. It's in process probably.
They don't actually need a special use permit, they're just needed the rental application.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they worked it out.
Okay, I just didn't want to pass something
It was
screw
worked
somebody
out
else
that
up.
evening.
Okay,
Park board approved it.
then so moved.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Special event application, the Russian Pallet Club Ice Cream Social, Upper City Park, J.C. Pavilion and Rotunda, August 18, 2019.
Motion made approved.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Festival event application, the Russian Pallet Club Art and Craft Show, Middle School, October 12 and 13, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve this event.
Second?
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's carried. We have a special event application, Southern Iowa Mustang Club, 15 reserved parking spaces at the riverfront, September 28, 2019.
Make a motion approved.
Second?
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's carried. Madden Media SEM contract with Tourism Department.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second?
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's,
I have a question. It's just an error, but on J, this special event, it says June of 2019, but shouldn't it be 2020?
They're working on it.
Yeah.
The cycling one.
Yes, it's 2020.
It should be 2020.
Oh, thank you.
oh, I see.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, yes. All right, there's being no reports, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I got one
Oh, you
thing.
have a report?
Before you adjourn, you said to remind you something about the UAV board? Sorry,
Yes.
liaison.
Yes, thank you. You know, we are in need of a liaison to the, from the Board of Aldermen to the Utility Advisory Board. I think Jim would be excellent at that.
I agree. I will make a motion to that effect.
Do we have a second for that? Bruce seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. Thanks for reminding me, because I was steamrolling towards adjournment.
I knew you were.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
Second down here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night.
Sorry, those aren't things either, but you get the idea.
Okay, here, you need that one?
No, sir, I got all that written down.
So you
I'm gonna give these back to you. then, so you
They went to,
know who commented.
county, did some tea.
All right.